Hello, welcome back to Tiny Glade. In this video I'm trying to build another historical castle. It's called Siedlęcin Castle and it's located in the southeastern part of Poland, and I hope I pronounced that somewhat right. I decided to choose this castle because it's another one of those relatively simple castles, so I thought it would be good for beginning. I start here by creating some elevation, because the original castle is built on a hill, and then I proceed with building the main tower, which is the most prominent part of the castle that is preserved today. In fact, the main residential tower is one of the best preserved buildings of this type in Europe, at least according to this article that I'm reading from. So with this design I wanted to preserve the battlements or the crenellations that you can see on the restoration images, while also having this very typical roof that you can often see on the Central European castles and fortresses. I think I end up changing this in the future. And the next building that I'm creating here is the entrance gate. So this castle is kinda simple in its layout, so I decided I'm gonna build like two versions of it. And the first one is a more original look of the castle, the way it looked like in about 15th century. And after that I'm trying to replicate the way it looked like in around 17th to 18th century. But they actually started building the tower in the early 14th century. Here I wasn't really satisfied with how things are turning out, so I started over. I find it very difficult to work with the terrain tool because once you release the mouse, you cannot add to this terrain patch anymore. You can make another one, but you cannot change or edit the one you've just built. So that's why I started all over. I also found it difficult to make a wall that I would be satisfied with, because I have difficulties drawing circular shapes. So I just decided to kind of go for it with this second iteration, and I decided not to bother with it too much and just keep it as is, because the wall for the original 15th century castle is not perfectly circular anyway, as you can see from the original images, although not original images, but like the restoration images, right? I really like the way this kind of extended portion on the gate tower looks like. I just want to remind you that the goal is not to have like a perfect one-to-one recreation of the historical building, but more just like something that resembles it. The original historical castle is supposed to serve as a guideline for me to follow. The game has a very limited color palette right now in terms of the color that you can choose for your creations. But this orange top section of the gate tower. Looks pretty accurate to this restoration image that I'm basing this off. But having more colors would be nice. Here I'm just comparing the built-in roof to this kind of a added section, and I don't think I really like the result here, because it still doesn't really look like on the images. I'm playing around with different roof shapes just to see what I like. Pet the sheep. So I think I choose to go with the built-in roof tool rather than the additional structure on top of the tower. But what I noticed is that the roof on the main tower has this kind of a double slope, so to speak. Like there are two different angles. And I thought maybe I will represent it with just another roof kind of clipping through the main one. I keep referencing the restoration images for the window placement. It actually has two of these protruding extensions on the right wall. I think those could be like the toilets or something, but I just represent them with the triple window. And I referenced the images of how the tower looks right now in the present days for the windows on the opposite sides, on the rear portion of the castle and the sides that we cannot see on the restored images. I think it's coming together, and I'm kind of satisfied with the way it turned out. And here I'm just messing around with the photo mode to make some screenshots. I have added the keys for moving camera up and down, because it allows you to get a better angle. And here I'm just kind of enjoying my creation. I wanted to switch the time of day, but for that I wanted to add some lanterns first. And then I decided I'm gonna start building the next iteration of this castle close to the way it looked like in the 17th to 18th century. I'm using these other images for reference, and also there is a very handy image of like a plan of the castle, like the layout of it, which helps a lot. This time it has more sort of structures, and portion of the wall is completely replaced by some buildings, probably buildings in which the servants live and stuff like that. I kinda like this look because it sort of makes it look like a busy town, you know, with all these houses kind of close, tight together. And it's another really cute feature of the game where it generates a bird nest at the intersection of the roofs when you have two roofs that are connecting. Here I'm trying to reference the images to sort of get the proportions right between the different roofs. It would be really nice to have more painting options. So after I'm kind of satisfied with the layout of the main buildings, I start creating the paths to generate the stairway and the gate for the castle. On this restored image that represents how the castle looked like in the 18th century, it actually shows the double door for the main tower gate, which is what I tried to do. I keep playing around with this a little bit, just to try to get something that looks a bit better. I saw that the gate tower has two pairs of windows facing forward, and I wanted to try to replicate that, but I think I don't end up liking the way it looks like. I really like this little yard that kind of forms inside of the castle, between the main tower and the servant buildings. Yeah, here I decided to change back to how the gate tower was originally, with just two windows facing forward. Here I'm checking the position of the windows on this side little structure. Also, the 18th century reconstruction shows that the castle or the tower, the main tower, doesn't have the double sloped roof anymore. So I changed that too. Here I'm placing the lanterns, so then I could check out how it looks like in the dark. And expanding the road to create another entrance door, because you can actually see it on the castle plan. Then I wanted to add a few windows on the inside portion of the tower, of the castle. I really like how the game sort of connects the two windows with this string and the clothing hanging on it. And that is if you have two windows facing each other and they both have a little sheet hanging out, then the game will connect them with a string. Also, I've noticed that this 18th century reconstruction has this sort of like a little, I don't know, balcony or terrace here in the front, so I'm trying to kind of make it look a little bit like that. And I think this is pretty much the final touch. And I kind of like how it looks like in the end. Looks kind of cute. It mostly consists of the simple shapes, so it helps me. I play with the time of day a little bit. Just to check out how it looks like in the dark. And I really wanted to take a few screenshots of this internal yard area, because I think it looks very cozy there. And I guess this is it. The finished castle of Siedlęcin. Forgive my pronunciation. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any feedback, and I guess I'll see you next time.